This is Camping with Wade's RV on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Your RV guide for Oklahoma and beyond. Give us a call at 918-460-KRMG. Now, let's hit the road.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Camping with Wade's RV. This is 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. I'm Skyler Cooper. Thanks for joining us here on this Saturday afternoon. A little cool outside, a little cloudy, but it's going to be a pretty nice day as far as things are concerned. When we look at tomorrow, we'll be considering a little snow, and I'm curious to see what Willy D thinks about snow camping. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. If you want to join the show, you got camping questions or want to know something about your RV and needed some advice, Willy D can probably answer that question for you. I haven't heard him be stumped yet. So give us a call, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. You can also text us, type KRMG, and then your question to 70123. Willy D, do you like camping in the snow?
I actually have done a little bit of snow camping back in the day. It's been a little bit. I think it was about 2 years ago. But me and my friends, we actually have kind of a tradition where we go out every single Christmas and we go out on a camping trip. It's kind of like Friendsgiving, but it's Friends Christmas camping, I guess. And one of those years, it actually did start to snow on us a little bit, and it makes things interesting. The main thing that I don't like whenever I'm snow camping is whenever I'm actually packing up to go home, because if you do have a slide, then you're going to have to get up there. You're going to have to brush that off because the snow has to go somewhere. And so if you don't do that, then you're going to be bringing it all in with you if you're not being able to push it off. And so that's where slide toppers come into play. People ask me all the time, do I need slide toppers? Well, you don't need them, but is it handy? Absolutely. And so those slide toppers, if you have those, it makes it where you can just bring in the slide. It'll basically just work as an umbrella and go ahead and dump it right off. But whenever you're out there, it's kind of like a rainy day. Obviously, everyone has their own kind of different tasks or activities whenever they're out camping. That might be hiking, that might be riding horses, that might be swimming in the summertime. Some people, do bird watching or just like exploring and stuff. So it kind of depends on your activity, whether if you're locked in or not. But if it is snowing, you can kind of use it as a rain day, you might say, and just kind of snuggle up, put in a John Wayne movie and just really enjoy what's going on around you. Obviously, you're going to have the best views around, so you can just open up those windows, watch the snowfall, and just really enjoy your time out there. It is fun and it is possible, so don't let that hold you back. If you are at the campsite, the cool thing about Oklahoma is if you wait 72 hours, the weather will more than likely change. And so, if you want, go out and try it and see exactly what you think. And you might love it, you may hate it, but if you don't try it, you won't know. And so I have done a little bit of snow camping myself.
A texter says, do you mean snamping? Yeah, I think snapping.
That's exactly what we should term it, snapping. I love that. And thank you for texting in. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and give us a call, give us a text. I'd love to help you out with that. Or if you have a question about maybe your truck, maybe an RV that you're looking at, I'm here to help you with that as well. So I love talking to RVs, and I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have any great camping spots, I'm always looking for a new hot spot to go out and try. So give us a call and let us know, and I'd really appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Hey, let everybody know how they can find you guys down there.
So you can find us. We're out at Wade's RV in Glenpool, and we will soon be in OKC. We'll get into that a little bit more, but currently we're out there in Glenpool. We're right off of Highway 75. You can't miss us at 161st. It's about 5 minutes south of Tulsa Hills. And so if you keep trucking down 75, you will see us out there. And we have a service center, and we also have the Super Center. And the Super Center is exactly what it sounds like. Whenever you go to Walmart, you can get everything done. You can get a tire change, you can get oil change, you can get paint mixed. We do it all at that Super Center. So we have service, we have storage, we have parts, we have everything you could think of underneath one roof, and that's why we call it the Super Center. And so we're going to be out there until 5 p.m. this evening, and we have lots of great deals closing out the year. We have hundreds of RVs out there, so it's a one-stop shop. That's what I love about Wade's RV, one of the many great things out there. And you can always give us a call if you have any questions, 918-291-1011, or get on our website. One thing that's really cool is Wade's RV is so innovative. We actually have a website where you can purchase an RV 100% online. And so if you're looking for a nice, socially distanced way to purchase your next RV, we can actually do that, and we will actually deliver it to you as well. So we make it really nice and simple, and you got to check it out. If you're interested in RVs or getting into this lifestyle, come out and see us. We'd love to talk about that. Or if you just want a nice warm cup of coffee, come on out, and we'd love to shoot some good old camping stories around not necessarily the campfire, but maybe coffee pot. And we have some nice couches in there at Wade's RV. So swing on by and see us. We'd love to talk to you, and we'd love to get to meet you. One thing that Wade really has built his business on is relationships with his customers. And that's one thing that you'll notice at Wade's RV is we don't necessarily have customers. We have family, and we have friends there. And so it's a really great thing. And I always love going into work because I'm going to be surrounded by that, my family and my friends and all the customers that come in. It's always great to meet new people and see returning smiling faces.
Your website's looking pretty good these days, too. I was on there earlier this week and noticed some changes in recent times, and it's really streamlined and clean and everything. So if people haven't been on it in a little bit, it's looking really good. So check out wadesrv.com. Willie D, earlier you mentioned the slide toppers. Great idea for snow, but those things are actually really handy for, fall camping or other things, too, with leaves falling and things like that, too.
Absolutely. And so it's not just with snow. It's not just with rain, but leaves. And one of my arch nemesis is pine cones and acorns. And whenever you're out there in the woods, a lot of times you'll have little branches that fall down, and you don't want those on top of your slide going in, messing up your seals. And so you do have to get up there and clean those off. And if you have those slide toppers, it just makes your life so much easier. And so whenever you're thinking about the investment of an RV, it's kind of like getting tinted windows on your car. You don't necessarily need it, but does it make your life better? Absolutely. And so it makes it really, really great with that. And it's a great time of year to get out and go camping. Now with COVID-19 and stuff, the RV parks have been a little bit more packed, but typically right around this time of year, they are just empty. And so that's one of my favorite times because whenever I go out camping, I like to get away. I like to kind of relax and, just reset a little bit. And so get away from the technology and everything. And so whenever I go out in the wintertime, usually it's just desolate and there's no one out there. And so it's really enjoyable. But whenever you're out there, there's so much different things to enjoy. If you have a really cool camping spot that you love in the summer, go back and see it in the winter, because one thing you'll notice is with all the leaves gone and everything, it's going to look totally different. And so it might give you a totally different perspective than what you have imagined before. And so I always do that. I like to see my favorite camping spots different times of the year. I'm a creature of habit. And so I have a bad habit of going to the same spots over and over. And so that's one way that it kind of changes it up for me. And I find things that I like, and I don't want to change it up. And so whenever I find a good camp spot, it's hard to take me away from it. And one thing that's really cool is whenever you go to those camp spots and you meet the camp hosts that are there, you create a relationship with them. So every time you come in, it's like you're going to see, Bill and Patsy or something. So I always enjoyed that. And I always love getting out to that campsite, because it is, whenever you cross that boundary and you set up your camper, it is kind of like having a weight lifted off your shoulder. You're in camping mode and you're ready to have a good time and you're ready to relax. And we're going to talk later, but one thing great about having an RV is you can actually work remotely from anywhere you're at. So many people are actually still working from home. I think the stat is 51% are still working from home. And so if you have an RV, you can pack up and you can work from very cool places. You can go out there to Keystone Lake, Greenlee State Park. I mean, there's just so many different options. If you want, you can go over to the Grand Canyon and, do your desk work from there. It's just like me. I can do the radio show from just about anywhere right now. Right now I'm at Wade's RV. And like I said, we'll be out there until 5 p.m. this evening making deals. But if you have an RV, once again, you can be anywhere you want on the road. I just happen to really love Wade's RV. So I spend a lot of time there, and I also get out on the road quite a bit. And make sure you still stay tuning in, because we're going to get into some of Willy D's delivery diaries. I had a really interesting one last week. But take your RV and take your work and go out there and just enjoy this opportunity that you guys have.
You can join the show, 918-460-KRMG, or text us, type KRMG, and then your question, send that to 70123. And Willie D, I know you guys are very involved in the community. You helped us out with one of ours a couple of weeks ago, and then now I believe you guys are working with Toys for Tots.
We absolutely are. So Wade is really involved. He loves giving back to the community, and then especially our military members. He loves helping out with the military and anything he can to support our veterans and our current active service members. And right now we are actually collecting toys for Toys for Tots. And so the Marine Corps actually is the one that came up with that, and it's here to help a lot of underprivileged children. And so it's a really great opportunity that you yourself can give back in a small way. You don't necessarily need to come with a big bag of toys like Santa, but if you can go, maybe get one thing, it would make a huge difference in these children's lives. And so we have collection boxes at Wade's RV. And so if you have any of those toys, you can come by and drop off there. We've seen a tremendous amount of support from the community, and it's really, really been awesome to see how many people come together to help on these causes. It's really, really neat because we can't do it alone. And just like the Make-A-Wish Foundation campaign that we did, you can't do it alone, and we all have to come together. And so that's what it does, is it's a way that everyone in the community can come around one common cause and get behind it and really help other people. And it's just really incredible to see the difference that it makes in these children's lives. And then also there's a saying, it's better to give than receive. And I always find that to be very, very true myself. The feeling that you will get whenever you're giving back is something that you can't replace.
It's Camping with Wade's RV, 918-460-KRMG. And Brad is on the line. Brad, you got a question about battery converters.
Well, yeah, I've got a older New Way hitchhiker fifth wheel, and when it is hooked up to the truck, is there an easy way to check to see if the converter is charging my battery?
So for one, that hitchhiker is awesome. Those are great units. The best way is, there's not necessarily a super simple way. The best, you're going to have to go to the source and actually test it. So if you do have it hooked up to the truck, one thing I always carry around with me is a voltage meter. And so you can go over there to that converter and see if it is putting out any 12 volt. Otherwise, you might be able to disconnect your battery and see, because that way it doesn't have a source to pull off of. And so you can see if it is actually going ahead and converting it over. But a lot of times it just depends on how your camper was wired, if it's wired directly from the battery or from the actual power source itself from the converter. And so I would just go directly to the source and put a voltmeter on there just to make sure everything is working, because if that's not working, then it can lead to other problems. And a lot of times the converter is a big thing that controls a lot of different things. And if people don't know, what that converter is doing is it's taking that 12 volt power and then making it where you can use your outlets and different things like that. So it is a big thing, but I would just go directly to the source, and that way you can just test the voltage there.
All right.
Brad, thanks for your call. Absolutely. We got to take a break. It's Camping with Wade's RV on KRMG. If you want to get your question answered, Willy D's got those right on the tip of his tongue. 918-460-KRMG. Text us, KRMG, and then your question to 70123. We'll be right back.
Wade's RV, every Saturday at noon on 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Camping with Wade's RV, 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. I'm Skyler Cooper, along with Willy D from Wade's RV, 161st and Highway 75. You can reach them at 918-291-1011 or find them online at wadesrv.com. If you want to join the show, like Brad just did, you got a question about your RV, something going weird with it, you can give us a call, 918-460-KRMG. Or if you just want to learn about buying a new one, they've got a ton of options for you, and we'll get into some of what's going on down there here in just a moment. You can also text us, type KRMG, and then your question or comment, send that to 70123. Willy D, you were talking about it a little earlier, and it's such a big thing right now because of COVID, and it was also sort of starting to happen before COVID with that Tulsa remote program and people coming to town to work remotely. But if anyone's ever considered buying an RV and now they're finding themselves sitting at the kitchen table working, might as well combine the two.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we've been really preaching at Wade's RV here the last couple of weeks, is to get out and start working remotely. If you're already sitting at your house, we've been doing this for months and months on end now. I'm pretty sure most people are tired of staring at the wall, staring at the TV, and just sitting there. Why not go out and get some fresh air and be around some of the best destinations that you can be around? And you can go to so many different places. You can see friends. You can see family. It's a really just great opportunity to get out there. And like I was saying, 51% of Americans are still working from home. And so this just makes it a great opportunity where you can use your RV every single day of the year if you wanted, and you can be at some of the best places. I have a few really great camping spots that I love. One, I've talked about it a lot, Robbers Cave. If you've never been there, you have got to check it out. It's just a couple hours from us here in Tulsa. And what's really cool about that is it's called Robbers Cave because quite literally there was robbers that used to hide out in the caves. Jesse James, Bell Star. They were running through those hills, and there's a lot of really good hiding places you'll see if you hike around there. And you can go out to these places, and you can experience this, and you can take your laptop. The great thing about RVs is they have plugins, like we were talking about with those converters. That's going to take your power and convert it over to 12-volt for you. But what's great is you do have these units, and so you can be out there. It is going to be chilly the next couple of days. It's a really nice day. Right now it's about 42 degrees is what my car thermometer says. But you can get out there, and it will be warm. You will have a plug-in, and so you can get out there. A lot of campsites even have Wi-Fi, and so there's nothing that will be holding you back from what you can do at your house, you can do in your RV, and you can do it on the road. And so pack up your family, pack up your dogs, your cats, your pets. If you got a parrot, you can pack that up with you as well. But go out there and get out and start camping and working remotely. It's a great opportunity, and it won't be here forever. There's going to be a day when you have to go back to the office, and you're going to be sitting there wishing, man, I wish I was out there at the campsite cooking my lunch over an open fire versus going to McDonald's. I mean, that is a totally different experience, and it's one that's really good for you, and it's just something that you'll never forget, and I guarantee your kids won't forget it either. You can work remotely, but they can also learn remotely. And so while they're learning different things about science and math and English, you can very much see it in real life application by being out at a campsite. You're actually out there in real life. It's not good to be just locked up in your house all day. And so it's a great opportunity, and it's a great opportunity to work and relax. You're going to be able to take a load off your shoulders whenever you get into that campsite, and there's just a great feeling about it whenever you get out of that door and you smell the fresh air, you smell the fresh leaves. And like I said, I'm kind of a pyro. I love making fires, and I love cooking over fires, but you can get out there, you can make yourself a fire, you can start cooking some s'mores, and you can make some steaks, make some hot dogs. It's a great time to do that. You can't necessarily do that in the summertime, and so get out there and enjoy all the senses, the touching and the feeling and everything. It's just going to be something that you'll never forget.
Tim, you were nodding. You like Robbers Cave?
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorite places to go, Robbers Cave. Of course, you stop at Krebs on the way up and back for great Italian food, but that's a plus on the ride. But it's so nice. You go through the caves themselves. And as Willie was saying, that's where they hit out. The bandits hit out there because when you walk it, you realize how hard it would be for somebody to go up there with horses sometime going up to the top of the mountains. But it's so beautiful. And it's pretty much a hard, rocky terrain, too. But it's a lot of fun. There are marked caves, marked trails, all kinds of fishing and, water things to do, and just a lot of fun. Big park.
Sounds like a cool place.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm curious, though. We love when people give us their little insights like that. So if you've got a place that you recommend, don't have to give us your secret little corner of it, but tell us what state park or what little area you like to go to. Text us 70123. So working remotely, it's a good option to do that there. And they don't have to buy like a cheapy old used thing or something. They could buy a really good used one from you guys. Or because of the time of year, correct me if I'm wrong, Willy D, but I think because new models come in now, your new inventory that's previous year is like really discounted.
Yeah, so we have a lot of units that we've had from the previous year, and so with that, whenever we have those new models come in, we obviously need to get rid of those ones that we've had. We've been, they've been on the lot, we've been paying interest on them, and we need to get rid of them. And so it doesn't do us any good to mark them up, and so we slash the prices. We make it hard to say no. I loved it. Yesterday I was listening. Nick, he's our internet manager, and he was talking to someone from out of state. We sell RVs to people all around the country. It's really, really cool. And this customer said, "Holy cow, you guys were $10,000 cheaper than everyone else." And he said, I've been on an RV. Sometimes these things are hundreds of thousands of dollars. He said, I'm shopping around. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm trying to make sure I have the best deal. And you guys are the winners. And he said, by an incredible amount. And what Nick said was, it rang a bell for me. And it's so true. He said, we're trying to make deals. We're trying to be the number one dealership in America, not just Oklahoma. We've already accomplished that. And so we're trying to make deals, and we're trying to get customers from all over. And you know how you're going to do that is you're going to treat customers right, and you're going to give them the best deals around. And so we got his business, and it wasn't hard for us because we just cut out all the nonsense. We're not the type of dealership where you're going to go back and forth, wheeling and dealing with a salesman or a sales manager. That's not the way we operate. We operate on, this is the price, and that's what it is. We can sell it for this, and that's the price, and everything's negotiable. But we're here to try to help you get the best bang for your buck, and that's one way we can do it, is just by slashing those prices and making those deals every single day.
Take a break. We'll be right back. This is Camping with Wade's RV. Back to camping with Wade's RV on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. This is Skyler Cooper, and Willy D joins me from Wade's RV, 161st and Highway 75. Get a hold of them, 918-291-1011, or see them at wadesrv.com. Also on social media, and their YouTube page is really handy too. Willy D, I know you guys are always updating YouTube with how-tos and tips and tricks. Anything new up there we ought to know about?
Yeah, so we've been getting a whole bunch of new brands actually at Wade's RV. So last year we had 24, and now we have close to 30 different brands. I've been talking about how Wade's RV is a one-stop shop, and that is absolutely true. If you're looking for an RV, we not only have every single type of RV, we have variations of every single type of RV. So if you're looking for a stick-in tin, as we call them, which has wood studs, and then it has the metal on the outside of the trailer, we have 2 or 3 different brands within that category. If you're looking for a laminated trailer, we have a whole lot of those. And then fifth wheels, I mean, those come in so many different shapes, sizes, price range, all around. And so we have every single price range. We have every single different towing capacity. If you're looking for a half-ton towable fifth wheel, we got it. If you're looking for a big river stone that weighs, 14,000 pounds, we got it. And speaking of river stones and those higher-end units, we actually recently I saw Hayden posted it on Facebook this morning. I was really excited. And so right when I got into work, I went and checked it out. But we have a 2019 mobile suite. And so that is a really high-end unit. And we have one of those used right now. And so it's in here on consignment. And so you can take advantage of a special deal on that. And so we have lots of great units on there. And I've been doing some different walkarounds of those units as we've been getting them in. So definitely check out that YouTube page because there's lots of different how-tos. If you want to learn how to fix a water filter, I got it on there. If you want to see the inside of a brand new Sabre, we have it on there. And so there's just lots of good stuff. And back in the day, whenever we were in the studio, you can check out all of the shows that me and Skyler did on there. And so you can see all the action that we had. We had a lot of fun, and then we also had a lot of guests come on the show as well. And so there's just lots of information. If you're wanting to learn about RVs, this is your one place that you go as well. So Wade's RV is a one-stop shop. Wade's RV YouTube channel is a one-stop shop, and it's just really, really incredible. And these new brands, I've really been taken back by it. So whenever you think it just can't get any better, it does at Wade's RV. And so we got our very first Sundance travel trailer in. We also got our very first Starcraft travel trailers in, and then we also got a Telluride fifth wheel. And so we're slowly getting them in, but that RV lot is getting very, very full. And it's just really exciting because there is so many different variations. What I like in an RV is different than what, let's say, my friend Jimmy wants on his RV. And so everyone has their own different opinions of what they want, and they have different preferences. And so having all these different variations make that possible. And so it's just been really, really exciting. And for me, I'm like a kid in a candy store. Whenever I see one of these units run in or come in, I run out there and I'm in them before they're even unhooked. And so it's been really, really cool. And it's cool to see what brands do differently from the next one. So you might have different preferences on colors and things, but different companies have different showers that they use. They have different radios that they use, different toilets, and all of this stuff is very important whenever you're looking for your RV. And so by having all these different choices, it just makes Wade's RV the only place that you need to go. And whenever you need to get that RV fixed, we can do that too. We have a big lift, which we can actually lift up those big tour buses where if you got a big Newmar or if you have a specialty bus, we can work on it. That's what's really cool. You might need to change out an airbag. We can do that. One story that I was hearing Wade talk about this week was there was actually a bus over there at Cummins, and they needed to change out an airbag. And if not, they were going to have to, take off, just a crazy amount of equipment and stuff to get to this one singular part. And they actually called Wade, and they actually used Wade's lift to fix their unit. And so if you go to a different RV place, a lot of times they don't have the tools and the equipment to actually get you fixed. And at Wade's RV, we do. So what happens is those companies, they take your unit and they're going to take it to someone that does have the equipment that can actually do that work. And what that means for you as the customer is, for one, it's going to take you longer to get your RV fixed. And then secondly, it's going to cost you more. If there's someone that's jumping in a car, driving it somewhere, or driving your unit somewhere, and it's sitting there, they're not just doing that as a free service, and so they're going to mark it up. So by bringing your unit to someone that actually knows what they're doing and has the tools and has the technicians to actually fix your problem, you're going to save yourself time and money. And that's what it's all about, because you need to be out there and you need to be camping. And so it's just really, really cool to see all of this stuff come together, because it just, like I said, it just keeps getting better. Another example is, so at Wade's RV, we recently installed a new concrete pad up front. And so with that concrete pad, we have a whole bunch of electrical plug-ins. And so whenever you come to look at our motorhomes and our fifth wheels and our travel trailers, they're going to be plugged in. And so you can actually see how they're lit up, how they're going to work, and actually use them right in front of you. Whenever you're looking at RVs, and in the summertime especially, it can be warm. It can be very, very hot. In the wintertime, it can be cold because they are insulated box. They're an insulated box. Whenever you're out there, if you have your AC on, you want the AC to stay in. If you have the heat on, you want the heat to stay in. And so whenever you go out there, we're going to have all these, just perfectly set up for you. So whenever you walk in, you're going to be comfortable and you're going to be able to test out these units and see exactly what they have to offer for you as a camper or as a future camper.
Join the show, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. If you have a camping question or need some help with your RV, Willy D can help you out. Give us a call or text us. Type KRMG and then your question to 70123. Talked earlier about winter camping and snow camping, and our awesome texter said, "Don't you mean snamping?" So we're inventing words on the show today. If you've got an invented word, you can join us and talk about that. Willy D, I see a show note here that I'm not familiar with. Tell me about Dwayne Wade's truck.
So at Wade's RV, we have been known to sell a few high-end pieces of equipment. And because we have a lot of these higher-end pieces of equipment, whenever people are trying to sell them, we're the first person that comes to mind. And that's exactly what happened with this instance, as we actually had a customer who was interested in getting a sport chassis. And so what he was using to pull around his boat was actually a big F650 custom conversion truck that Dwayne Wade used to own. That was actually originally created for him. And so he wanted a sport chassis, and so he brought it in, and he had us consign that. And we actually sold that truck in 72 hours. We've had Dwayne Wade's truck. We also had Kenny Rogers' tour bus. We've had some really, really cool RVs and trucks and pieces of equipment. And the cool thing about Wade's RV is that we have the horsepower to help you sell that. Whenever you're selling something, we've talked about it so many different times, whether that's an RV, a truck, car, whatever. If you're trying to sell that on your own, you have to make appointments, you have to find financing, you have to do deliveries, you have to deal with people, you have to message them, you have to market it, you have to do all of that yourself. And at Wade's RV, we make it easy. We handle all of that for you. And so I'm just going to use this as an example because we're an RV dealership, so we sell a lot of RVs and we consign a lot of RVs. But if you consign your RV with us, we have a zero-fee consignment program. So we're going to sit down and we're going to look up what that NADA value is on that RV, and we're going to agree on a price because we can't sell it for more than what a bank will loan on it. That doesn't make any sense, and people won't pay that either. So if we can sign it at that number, it wouldn't make any sense. So we sit down and we look at actually what that unit is worth, and we agree on a number. And whenever we sell that unit, that is what you're going to get paid on, is that exact number right there. And so we're going to take that unit, we're going to clean it up, and we're going to put it out there on the lot. And that's not where it stops. So obviously we have a large piece of property on Highway 75, but we're actually going to market it. So if we were still trying to sell that truck, you bet I probably would have been talking about it on this radio show. And so we're going to market it. We're also going to help with making appointments. I have 10 salespeople in there who are working to sell that unit for you. So it's like 10Xing yourself. If you listen to Grant Cardone, you're going to have 10 times the power that you would have on your own. They're going to be setting the appointments. They're going to be showing it. And then whenever we sell it, we're going to also do the delivery. We call it delivery if they're either picking up their unit or we deliver it for them. We're going to handle all of that. We're going to handle all the paperwork. We handle it all. And all you have to do is come and collect your sweet, sweet check. And so this customer, he called us because he knew Wade's RV had the horsepower to help him sell this truck. He's been trying to sell it, and we had it gone in 72 hours. So if you have a specialty vehicle, I would say, that you're trying to sell, give us a call because it's very possible that we may be able to help you. Not every single vehicle is necessarily a perfect fit for Wade's RV to sell, but there's a good chance that we could help. And one thing that's really cool is if you do have something like that and you're interested in an RV, we take anything on trade. We talk about it all the time, but Wade's RV is not scared to trade for anything. If you have a boat, you have a jet ski that you're not using, and you want an RV, bring it on. We've done trades on cows and horses and all sorts of different things. And so if you have something that you want to trade in and you're having a hard time selling it, use that to get out and go camping. If you're listening to this show and you've been enticed, get out there and hit the road, because the only thing you're doing is holding yourself back by not.
It's Camping with Wade's RV. Now, I wanted to ask you, Willy D, compare that F650 with the sport chassis. What are the differences?
It was a night and day difference. For one, that F650 was a 6-door unit, and so it was super, super long, and so turning, there just was no turning at all. this thing also had I believe it was a Cat 320 in there. And with that engine, it didn't have the horsepower and the momentum to move that boat around. And it was just gutless at the end of the day. And so it didn't have enough horsepower. It didn't have enough torque. And so whenever this customer was pulling his boat around, he said, this is totally impractical. It seemed like it was a good idea at first, but it's totally impractical. And I had the pleasure of actually taking him out and showing him a sport chassis. And that's what we were talking about, is how that truck is actually meant to work. It's meant to use, and it just has working in the mindset of whenever they were building that, it has extra airbags in the back. So whenever you raise or lower that truck bed, it's going to do it quickly, because whenever you're working, you don't want it to go slow. You want your equipment to work, and you want it to work properly, and you want it to work promptly as well. And so it has storage toolboxes on the edge. It has a 160-gallon fuel tank. You can go all the way to Houston and back, and you don't even have to fill up. It's incredible, and I've done it. And so it was a night and day difference. It's like going from a half-ton truck to going to a 1-ton. I mean, it just doesn't even compare whenever you're looking at the heavy dutiness of the actual equipment itself. That F650 set up tall, and it set up big, and it looked all big, beefy, and bulky. But whenever you actually opened up the hood and look at it, that thing was scrawny and it was wimpy compared to that sport chassis. It just didn't have the muscle to do the job. And one thing that whenever you have that sport chassis is it is going to have the muscle, it is going to have the horsepower, and you're going to be able to get that job done.
We'll need to take our break here. You're listening to Camping with Wade's RV. We'll wrap it up right after the break. This is 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Oh, that looks fun. I think we're having a board issue in there. I love technology on a Saturday. This is Camping with Wade's RV on 102.3 KRMG. There we go. Now I feel a little better. If you want to join the show, and hopefully the phone works, 918-460-KRMG, 460-5764. You can also text us, type KRMG, and then your question. Send it to 70123. I'm Skyler Cooper, along with Willy D from Wade's RV. Got a few minutes there if you want to join the show and ask your question for Willy D. Find him down there, 161st and Highway 75. And let's get into Willy D's Delivery Diaries.
So Willy D's Delivery Diaries was a little bit of an interesting one this past week. So I had every once in a while, let me put it this way, I am propositioned in a less than forthcoming way. Sometimes one of the sales managers or Wade, they'll say, hey, are you doing anything right now? Do you mind going to, and I'll slowly pry out a little bit more information. And this unit, I thought this was going to be the one that did me in for sure. And I told them, I said, I'm ready for the challenge, but I had to go visit it a couple times. And so this unit was one that we were actually using as a parts trailer. And so we just needed to get it back to Wade's RV, and it just needed to go a couple miles down the road, but it was actually buried in the ground. And so it was buried in the ground. It was on post, and it didn't have any wheels or tires or anything like that. Whenever it got down to the wheels, some of them didn't even match up. And so once we knew exactly what we got the wheels on there, and then I also had to do the slide in manually. And so what happened was I had to get a tire iron and actually pump it just like you're pumping up a tire jack, basically. And so I cranked I literally one by one pump, I got that slide in, and then we were able to get those wheels and tires in there. I brought a big floor jack with some big blocks that actually helped me lift it up and lift it off. And so once I got that lifted up and lifted off those blocks, I was able to get it connected to the truck and then actually pull it out. And it was a really cool story because they were actually coming in there to make a development after we got that trailer out. And so these guys, they said, oh, no, we'll bulldoze it if you can't get it. And I've never had one beat me. And knock on wood, I won't have one beat me. But after some troubleshooting, I had to call Wade. At the end of the day, he's the RV doctor. And so if you can't get it figured out, he's usually got a solution. And so I called Wade, and he told me exactly how to get all of this accomplished, basically. And then step by step, we got it knocked out, and we got it pulled out, and we got it back to the store. And it really just felt good. Tyler Morse, he helped me out, and he did a really, really great job. But it was definitely trying, and it was a tribulation, and it's definitely been the hardest unit I've ever pulled or ever tried to move. But we got it done at the end of the day. And as Wade says, we ain't scared of a challenge. And so we had that unit as a parts unit, and so if you do need some random parts for units, you can always give us a call because we have a little bit of everything. That's why we can handle so many different jobs, because we do have those parts, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a new one. Sometimes people want a used washer and dryer. They want a used stove because they already have an older unit, and that appliance works. I mean, it's a propane stove. What's going to go wrong with it? And So we do have those parts, and we have the abilities to fix that. And if you do have some extreme damage on your RV that you're wanting to get fixed, I've seen RVs that have there was one I thought was going to be totaled. I thought there's no way that the insurance company is going to pay us to fix it, and they actually did. And we actually had to take off the whole rear cap of it, and we had to totally rebuild the structure back there. But the cool thing is that if they want that done, we can handle it, and we're going to do it every single time. And it's just really incredible to see the ability of the technicians back there, and then just the years of experience. One thing that I found is I talk about these delivery diaries, and I learn a little bit on each delivery, and I get a little bit better in each delivery because I've learned tips and tricks of the trade. Wade's been doing this since he was 19 years old. And so if there's a problem, he's more than likely ran into it. And so that's what's really cool is just the experience that Wade's RV has is not just him. We have Randy Sloan. His dad owned an RV dealership. I mean, this is literally how he was raised up, was around RVs. Brendan used to work for us. I mean, there was 3 generations of RVs in the family right there. And so there's just a lot of professional knowledge there that we can help you find a RV that is the perfect fit for you, or we can also fix it. And that's just a really, really cool thing that we can do. So you got to come out and see us. We're going to be open until 5 p.m. Tell them Willy D sent you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And give us a call at 918-291-1011. We're going to be open until 5. And make sure you come out and see us in OKC. We're going to be opening up in March. A lot of exciting things happening at Wade's RV. So come see the Wade's RV difference and be part of the family today.
It's Camping with Wade's RV, back next Saturday at noon, right here on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.